Hello and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. That is going to be focusing on Microsoft Office 365 training with DiLeap. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Ruan Kent, who's from Marine Academy, and he's going to be presenting the webinar today. But just before we pass over, I'm just going to go through some housekeeping details with you all. So you are muted throughout the webinar, but we'll hold a Q&A session at the end. So if you do have any questions at all, just pop those in the right-hand side of your screen in the control panel, and we will answer those for you. We're also recording the webinar today, so I'll send you all a link to the recording this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And there is a very short critique form at the end. So if you would like any further information or if you have any feedback for us, then just pop that in there and we'll get back to you. Okay, so before we pass over, I'm just going to pass you over to Rachel Gill, who's going to discuss our Bytes learning services with you.
Thank you, Amy. Hi. So I'm Rachel Gill. I'm the Learning Services Manager at Bytes Software Services. Bytes Learning Services is a dedicated division of Bytes Software Services that offers our fully managed services for all our Bytes customers' training needs. We provide a full range of services from e-learning to on-site bespoke training solutions with tailor-made procurement systems that enable your people to select and manage their own training requirements. We are independent, which means we are not restricted to using one supplier, giving you increased availability and a wide choice of options at very competitive pricing. On the screen now, you'll see just roughly what sort of like training we do purchase over a financial year, different types of training, bespoke training, e-learning, project coordination, training budget services, our rebrandable portal, public courses, desktop migrations, global programs, and help our customers with their software assurance benefits. Today, we're looking at the e-learning element, and I'd like to hand over to Sebastian Lomes, one of our e-learning consultants, who will give you a brief overview on the services his teams offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. So as you can see, we're a very small part of this organisation within the e-learning, but a huge part, an integral part, because obviously that's growing and growing day by day. And today I'm really excited to introduce Mandarin Academy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sebastian Lomas. Rachel did a quick introduction. I'm an e-learning specialist and consultant working with Bytes for about 10 years now. We've been sourcing and recommending partners and implementing them through our thorough partner onboarding process. And actually, we're really, really excited to show you what we have to offer here. So I'm going to hand you over to Ruan Kent, who is going to show you what Mandarin and DiLeap have to offer. And this really excites me for one reason. The reason is it's a blended learning for all generations within the workplace. And I'll leave that there with you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Seb. So, and thanks everyone for taking the time out of their busy day to join us. And thanks to Bytes and ArcIT for giving Mandarin Academy this opportunity to talk you through what the DiLeap solution is from Mandarin Academy. So very briefly, my name is Ruan Kent. The accent that I carry is a Canadian one, for those that are curious. And without further ado, we'll get started. Oh, sorry, and I'm not in Canada. I'm actually based in Ireland, so I'm not up that early. So let's just go over the agenda. What we're going to talk through at the very beginning is the challenges, the common challenges we face. And we'll take a brief look at who Mandarin Academy are. We'll then talk a little bit about how we partner with Microsoft. And then we'll give you a live overview of the DiLeap platform from Mandarin Academy. And then we'll finish off with some customer references and the Q&A. So in terms of the challenge, or the common challenge, is that we've got technology and it can be very expensive to implement, far beyond the cost of the software itself. So one thing that we're going to cover today is how we can build that digital literacy for your employee base early. And what we're going to talk about is these sort of out-of-the-box scalable learning tools that you can adapt to your needs. And because we have such a wide variety of different employees in our company, and indeed we have different companies on this call, we need to have different use cases to suit different learning styles, And also we need to cater to people who are going to be learning at different speeds. Not everybody wants to be flung into a classroom at one time. So really the future lies in providing a personalized and enhanced experience. And you'll see as we get into the presentation a bit more, how you can interpret those types of personalizations. So we're just going to breeze over one other rather large challenge, but what's common knowledge in the executive suite, so the decision to roll out these services, is not often the common experience of day-to-day employees. So in other words, there's a lot of resistance out there to the technology that's being brought into the lives of the employee, and we need to make it relevant and meaningful for them. So what we're going to see is that the Mandarin Academy technology really allows you to bridge the gap between the technology and the human by seamlessly combining self-paced digital and live remote-led human learning together. And in the process, you get the ROI on your solution, and we reduce the support time and support costs, and critically, we reduce the resistance to change that your employees will no doubt have when new changes come about. So briefly, Mandarin has an international team of over 40 people and contractors around the world. We have over 5,000 users on our DiLeap and MOOC Office 365 custom platform. We can work with small companies and large multinationals, so it's a very flexible solution. And we've got certified consultants that are there to kind of help you every step of the way. The other key pillars is that it's a very simple and easy to use solution. It's out of the box. It uses the security of your own Office 365 tenant, so there's no security implementation with this. It uses Microsoft's own security technology. We have a catalog of over 700 videos and content, and really what we're going to show you today is how you can just pick what you need for your users and design very quickly a custom learning environment for your users. So it's extremely cost efficient in terms of the pricing and the model, and also it's feature rich. You know, you get this live virtual learning, which we're going to talk about, and there's also other really interesting pieces in the platform. You're going to see the whole platform is built in Azure, and so we also use Microsoft's AI to speed up the learning and entice and recommend users to different types of learning. So you'll see this also. And like I said, we have this broad Office 365 content available and regularly updated. In other words, we keep this platform evergreen. So it's a little bit about Mandarin and the platform that we're going to get an opportunity to look at. I felt it was important to talk about the relationship Mandarin has developed over the last decade with Microsoft. So we're a co-sell prioritized Azure cognitive services partner. So with that, we get a lot of sort of bonuses that help you. Our solution can be found in the marketplace in the Microsoft Marketplace. We're a Gold Cloud Productivity Partner. We're part of a program called the Early Adopter Program. So we know what changes are happening in Office 365 and Windows 10, generally 3 months before the market, and we can start working on the types of content that you and your users will need within the platform. There's a lot of work that goes into that. We're often invited to speak at Microsoft events, and indeed, we even train Microsoft users in situ in different locations in the world also. There's a new program that we're part of called the Partner Customer Success Program, which really means that we've obtained a level of trust with Microsoft whereby they introduce us to some of their largest customers directly. So we're really proud of that. And another cool feature that I've mentioned also is that we've worked on this AI in our platform, and we've done this directly with the teams at Microsoft and Redmond. So we have a sort of a long and rich history, and we'll continue to develop this strong partnership and relationship with Microsoft. So it was always going to be very brief with the slides, and we'll come back to them at the very end. So let's just jump into the platform and start showing you what we're talking about. So what you should see on your screen is the MOOC Office 365 platform. And for all intents and purposes, I'd like you to look at this as a catalog with which you can choose what content you want to use and how you'd like to use it. But you'll see at the top that we have a Bytes logo. And one of the key things that we can do with this platform, and very quickly, we can add your logo to the platform across the top, in the toolbar menu, across the bottom, and literally within hours, not weeks, you'll have a learning platform from Microsoft Office 365 that looks and feels as if it was always part of your organization, which is very powerful when it comes to developing that sort of awareness and breaking down resistance with your internal users. So just moving across the top and moving down the screen, you'll see learning paths, courses, use cases, and tutorials. And I'll be feathering down the screen also. One really important thing to mention is that it's not a one-size-fits-all platform. Indeed, it's a one-size-fits-many. So there is many ways to kind of access the platform, and that's deliberate, so that users can pick based on their time, their schedule, their learning needs, their past, their current role, their future roles. How do they want to learn? And that's very important to take away today, because we don't want people to feel like they haven't got a choice in terms of how they'd like to learn. So if we look at use cases, we have over 40 of these, and it's always growing. These are small storylines that just give you a sort of a day in the life of what it's like to use these solutions. Many people wouldn't even know. So we crafted these little stories that people can look at and realize where they fit in terms of their role within their own organizations and their own learning needs. So that's the stepping stone to the tutorials. Now, the tutorials are shorter than the use cases. They're typically a minute and a half long. They're almost like coffee break learning, where you need to pick up on various aspects of Office 365. You might have a 10 or 15-minute break, so you'll look at a couple of videos, you'll pick through them, and you'll go straight to what you're looking at. I'll give you a quick example, and then we'll go into the courses. There's a really nice UX with the platform, and the feedback we have, again, this was designed with a lot of help from Microsoft, is that content is really easy to find, and it's well laid out. So if I click into the courses, and I look down at the menu, which is just opening for me now. Just give it a second there. So you'll see in the software dropdown, we have this really rich list of all the things that are available in Office 365. And one of the newest allotment of videos we have, which is a very popular theme, is the whole idea of moving from Skype to Teams. So I can see that there's a whole set of Skype to Teams videos. So I can go straight into these, look at them, and indeed, I can share these. So I can share the courses I'm doing, and these are other ideas that you can take away in terms of sort of ambassadors within your groups of users and the power of social sharing and networking. So that's just a quick view of the UX, and we won't have time to go through all the content, but suffice to say there's a catalog. You'll notice on the right, just next to the tutorials, we have a Yammer Community. So the Yammer Community is really a sort of a quasi-digital human experience where people can ask questions, see what people are talking about, and we have a community manager that will generally answer any end user's questions in under 24 hours. If we move down the page, we'll see that there's courses. Now, again, we won't go into all of them. There's over 50 courses built into the platform, and they're always being refreshed. And then as we move to the bottom, we have the learning paths. And the learning paths are really for those that want to have a structured learning approach. They know that there's a multitude of workloads or that they would need to improve on. So they click on the learning paths. And just with the learning paths, now there's only 25 of them, but they're really well designed by our educational technology team. And you'll see what I mean in a second as soon as the screen opens. So they're designed in such a way that they're sort of like off-the-shelf learning areas that people might feel they need. So if people are focusing on collaboration, naturally they'll go to Microsoft Teams or Skype. But we've also designed the learning paths to be even more persona-based. So we've got PA learning paths, project manager learning path, admin and financial, marketing manager, HR. So again, these are already grouped together and designed based on various job roles that people will have across organizations. So the learning paths are really a rich opportunity to kind of pick what you'd like to do. So if I went to let's pick on the Teams learning path. And so just because I'm breezing over so much information, the content in the Teams learning path is made up of the courses that you would have seen just above. So you'll see the Teams learning path has 3 courses. Some learning paths have 4, 5, 6. It all depends. So if I look through this and I see the teams communicate as a team, and I really want to learn how to use this, I'll click on the course, take me in, and I'm just giving it a moment to load. So you'll see that there's a list of, there's a registration date. I'll come back to this in a second. There's what's happening in that course, and then there's a combination of the use case scenarios, which we spoke about earlier, and the tutorials. And all of these elements make up the course. Now, I'm just going to use the chat feature here because I may be very new to the platform, and I want to figure out how do I register for a course. So I will click on New Conversation, and hopefully somebody in our customer service department will respond to this. How do I pick a live course? Oops, cap locks. Right. How do I pick a course? So this is just to show you that there's an additional element to the platform where people can chat live using the bot, and somebody within Mandarin will respond and support some of the questions that people may have from time to time. So we have 2 community managers. So we have somebody who's responding to me now, I hope. We have to give them a moment to respond. So just while I'm getting that response, I can be looking at the screen, I can be looking at the use cases. I may have gathered whilst I'm waiting for an answer that the next live training session for this course is on June 20th at 4 p.m. Now, if I can't make that session at 4 p.m., there's another one on the 26th. So there's a rolling calendar of usually 5 to 6 weeks where your users can pick different live training sessions. And those training sessions are about 45 minutes, and they're with a live trainer. And the whole idea is that this remote human learning increases student attention, engagement, it improves their recall abilities, and there's a huge amount of satisfaction from interacting with a human trainer. And this sort of social connection and the learning and support creates this space for discussion of the concepts and ideas of the different workloads that asynchronous learning just can't do. So this is one of those unique features. There's over 60 hours of live training available to you in this platform for your users. So I've received a response from Leah. I'll just say thanks. Have a great day. And then I'm done with the chat. So as I move along, so I've spoken about the Yammer network. Now I'm actually going to register for this course to show you what happens next. the platform is built on Office 365 and it uses single sign-on authentication. So when I click on Office 365 here, it will actually be using the tenant within your organization. So I hope everyone can see that. And what's happening is it's inviting me into the platform, and then as I enter the platform, the UX of the platform changes and it gives me a completely personalized view of my learning for me. It gives me the points that I'm on. So this is really where I was just about to go on to, is that there's gamification that's built into the platform. So every course I do, every use case I look at, every live training session, I'm accumulating points towards a bronze, a silver, or a gold badge. And some users may like the idea of gamification, or some organizations might choose to use it as a reward system, but it's there in the platform, and there's a whole generation of learners that have sort of grown up gamifying everything, and certainly helps add another dimension to the platform if you can sort of add this sort of point system. So what you should be seeing in front of you now is my personalized dashboard of my course training. I'll be finishing with the admin dashboard, and then we'll go to questions. So I can see, looking from left to right, the courses I've participated in. I can see the learning paths I'm on. I can see the sessions, the live interactive sessions I'm registered for. And indeed, if I've done any social sharing on any platforms, if I said, this Teams course is great, or this Windows 10 course is great, you should do it, John, Amy, Bill, I can see those on the far right. I did want to just show you something really unique in the platform that takes a small bit of explaining. So you'll see that I have 4 learning paths. Now, what we've done by design is we've interwoven these courses so that if I start learning in one area, I am inadvertently opening the door to learning, to opening the learning paths in other areas. And what this is doing is it's lending to the curiosity, if not the creativity of the user, to kind of go, oh, look, I didn't realize that I'd started the Office 365 Collaborative Tools course by starting the Microsoft Teams course. So keep that in mind, that the platform is always trying to keep it interesting, relevant, and promote different areas in Office 365 to your users that they otherwise wouldn't have considered if they'd started maybe from a learning path based on a job role or just one set of tools. Another feature that I could spend a lot of time on, but I'll just breeze over, is the recommended for you feature. So because we have so many users on the platform and it kind of uses that AI to guess what you would like to do next, the platform is always trying to encourage you to look at the next bit of learning, and it's doing that based on what thousands of other users are doing within the platform. So it's sort of intelligently trying to adapt what it thinks you'd like to learn next, and then it's entirely up to the individual, but it's just a nice way of sort of catering to those different groups of users and the different types of learning that they'd like to go on. So keep that in mind because it's very useful. And just coming to the end of the high-level overview of the platform, we have an index feature in the menu tab. So again, everybody has limited time. So if I'm looking for Windows 10 training, so I'll just put Windows. The platform will dynamically choose everything with Windows in it. So there's 172 tutorials, 19 use case scenarios, and then it presents all the Windows 10 courses. So the index tab is really useful if you just want to get right down to looking at the different adaptive learning modalities that are available in the specific areas that you need to improve or would like to improve in. And you can put, just to complete that, I can put Windows and Teams, and I can put OneDrive, and you'll get the idea. It will only show me the different workloads that I'm looking for. Another very new feature that we've added to the platform is, again, based on feedback we've had from users, is they wanted a calendar that showed all the training sessions available on the different dates, because they were so busy, they just wanted to go straight to a live calendar view of the live training sessions. So I can click on different dates in the month, and I can see what training sessions. So here we see there's a Power BI course, and that might suit me fine. So it's just another adapted element to the platform that we can add to your customized platform, so users can look at the calendar features in those different ways. So that's a very high-level overview of the platform. And now what I wanted to move on to was the admin dashboard, which is another very rich add-on within the DiLeap solution. So here I can see a really rich view of who's subscribed, views in the last number of days. I can filter and look at who's learning by different product sets. I'm just going to shut that chat window. I can look at what content is being viewed the most, and I might start to draw different conclusions from that data. I can look at what badges my users are obtaining. You know, are they on bronze, silver, gold? Have I set stretch goals for people based on a quarterly objective or otherwise? So you can look at you have a kind of a broad level view that you can look at, and then you can actually do other very cool things. So I spoke about the resistance that comes with getting people to start using a new technology. You can create different personas within your organization. And it's just taking me back out. Sorry, try and pop back in. You're just going to have to give me a second there while. So what I was going to show you, which didn't work out on as I had hoped, but no bother, was that we have a communication piece built into the platform. And so the communication piece allows you to craft communications for different groups of users, so that by the time you launch this platform to your users, ideally you will have sent them a number of email communications before, you know, letting them know we've now rolled out Windows 10, or I'd really like you to start using Power BI. And you can craft the different types of users you'd like to have in that platform. So I'm just going to get back in there. If you give me a second, security being security, I'm just going to have to grab my login password again. And what I was going to show you afterwards was the different reporting features that you can get within the platform. So we'll just come back to those in 1 second. And right, so that should do it. Okay, so I'm back in. So anyway, like I said, I can create different email campaigns. I can create different email templates. It's all out of the box. I can look at reporting from many different angles. I can look at the learning paths people have completed, courses, resources. I can look at gamification. There's no shortage of different ways I can look at reporting, and I'll show you how I can pull a report. Another piece of really useful information is that the DiLeap Media Services allows you to add your content into the platform. So if you have videos or training or anything that we haven't got in our resources, you can go in and create your own learning paths, your own courses. And in fact, for those of you that this makes sense for, you can create translation into multiple different languages using subtitling. Or you can just subtitle content into the platform. So all this is available within the context of the DiLeap solution also, which is a really rich feature. And because it's built into Azure's media services, when a user uses the platform, it will dynamically shift the cadence of content to that user based on the speed and broadband that those users have. So if you have users that are working remotely in low bandwidth areas, the platform will actually figure out that that person is in a low bandwidth area and continue to provide them with content, but at a lower bit rate. And that's a really important and intelligent piece of the platform. So people aren't frustrated waiting for things to download. The platform is cognizant of that. So back to the reporting element, and we're coming to the very end here. So I can look at individual reporting on each user if I wanted to, but I can also export all the reporting into one CSV file, and then I can put it into any format. So I can use Power BI. So let's just look at what you get when you click on the reporting tab. I can see based on date, time, what are the most consulted videos. I can see what are the most viewed videos within my organization. I can see who's doing their user training. I can see what training is most followed. That's in terms of live sessions. I can see what badges people are obtaining, bronze, silver, gold, and I can see what quizzes people have done and completed. So that pretty much covers a high-level overview of everything within the platform. I was just going to come back to the presentation and complete. So as I said at the beginning, we've been around for 10 years. We've worked with an enormous amount of global organizations. So these are just a handful of some of the recognized brands that we've worked with. And what's interesting is when we look at all these, there was no one size fits all. Every one of these had a slightly different view of end user learning and training. And it's no different for yourselves. The platform is quickly adapted to your needs. And I would just finish there and hand back to Seb and the team at Bytes. So thanks for your participation. This was just a very high-level overview. So if you're interested, please contact your Bytes training team, who will work with you to build something that's customized to your needs and requirements.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Ruan. Thank you everyone for joining, and I think we're going to open up to questions now. So if I just change this back to here. So there is a questions panel just at the right hand side of your screen. So if you've got any questions, pop that in there. I think we've had a few come through already, so read some of these out for you. So the first one here is from John. So it says, so you talked about Yammer Community. Can this overlap or integrate with our internal Yammer community?
Yes, in short. We can create a link between your internal Yammer community and the platform. Indeed, that's the whole idea, that you're kind of using that feature to blend your internal Yammer with the platform.
That's great, thank you. And another question here, it says, does the platform have any content aimed at IT teams, e.g. Exchange, SQL, AD, Windows Server?
So that's a really good question. The content of the platform that we create is moreover for the end user. So it's not really to facilitate the training of your IT staff per se. That being said, if there's any content that Microsoft has on its YouTube site that lends itself to it, or indeed if there's content you have, we can add that to your platform. Create a subcategory that's called, Windows 10 IT admin training, and then you only have to point the link for that content to those groups of users, and you'll have your content for them there.
Thank you. Another question here. It says, can custom courses be added away from the Microsoft stack? For example, company inductions to become a 365 training platform.
Yeah, so indeed, that's sort of what I finished off with at the end in the admin platform. We'll show you how to add your own content that has, your own objectives. That's not Office 365, and we'll show you how to create courses or add videos or even create, a sequential learning path like we've shown you, but for completely different types of learning that are not Office 365, but relevant to that organization.
Okay, thank you. And the same person said, I assume content can be filtered based on user role.
Yeah, so I didn't talk about the different tags, but you can definitely create different tags for different user roles, but I did speak about personas. So you can create learning for different groups of users within the organization, so that they see, learning ABC, and the next group of users sees learning XYZ. It's the same platform. It's branded with the same organization, but you've crafted the content view to be different for those two different types of users.
Brilliant, thanks, Ruan. So a question here, he said, I think you mentioned this, but can you brand this with your own ID?
Yep, it's really quick and easy to do. We can top and tail the platform with your logo, and like I said, make it look and feel as if it's your own learning management system.
Okay, we've got quite a few questions.
Sorry, just to complete that question, you can also play with sort of different coloring, so letter coloring and what have you. So yeah, so there's a good deal of branding that you can do with the front homepage.
Brilliant, thank you. Next question says, can you base your training content on Office 2016, or is it just for Office 365?
No, you can. So yeah, so what I'd shown in the demo was our standard sort of out-of-the-box platform. So you can pick what you'd like from that platform and put it into your own. And we have the Office 2016 content. Anything that's missing, we can sort of we could possibly craft, or we can find somewhere else. So you can really handpick what you want to provide to your learners.
Great, thank you. Next question says, can we tailor the platform to only show the elements of Office 365 that we have deployed?
Yes, yeah, you can.
Okay, there's a few more questions here. Is it possible to have access to one module of training, such as Teams, to demo the content?
Yeah, so I think if I understood correctly, can we have a look at just the Teams content to see how it fits with our needs? Is that correct?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Rowan?
I was just trying to make sure I understood the question. So the individual would like to know, can they assess the Teams training content to decide how they'd like to use it? Is that correct? Like a trial? Is that what I'm hearing from that question?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I would just say yes and just speak to the Bytes training team, and they'll organize that with you.
Okay, and the next question here. Does the training offer very basic training? We have a very broad range of staff who have different needs, from the basics up to the more advanced.
That's a really good question. So this is deliberately designed for that beginner to intermediate end user. It's not really designed for advanced users, in that if you're advanced, you don't really need the platform, because you'll have gone and done a lot of the training. So we're really focusing on that cohort of users that are beginners and intermediate. There might be some slightly advanced concepts, but it's really for beginner to intermediate.
Brilliant, thanks. Another question here. It says, is the system offered as a managed service only, or can it be managed in-house?
So it's a cloud-based service built in Microsoft Azure, and it can be managed in-house by the organization. So we'll provide that admin portal login details to one or a number of selected admins, and they will then become adept at doing everything in-house, which is the idea.
Thanks, Rowan. Next question here. Can you remove courses that aren't required, or do you just use the filtering tags?
No, like you can remove, so you can remove the courses. We'll provide you with a menu, literally, of all the courses, and then you decide which ones you'd like to have and which ones you'd like removed. And then when your platform goes live, you will only have the content that you've curated and selected.
And there's another question. If we upload our own training videos, how secure is the content? Sorry.
We have a whole sort of document on GDPR, but again, similar to the SSO with Office 365 and the login security, the fact that it's built into Microsoft Azure, it comes sort of almost out of the box with a whole host of security elements that Microsoft have put into Azure. So we have documentation on that we can provide, but the platform kind of corresponds to a lot of the common GDPR rules and regulations and security.
Okay, another question here says, what's the pricing structure for the platform? Is it based on users and levels or range of training?
So the pricing, well, maybe I'll defer to Seb on that one.
Yeah.
Seb, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, exactly. It will be, obviously we're going to look at it in more detail when you reach out to the Bytes training team, but it's normally based on an annual price, and it's per user is what we've structured it on, but that's not to say we're flexible.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Another question here, do you have content for Microsoft Project and Visio, etc.?
I think somebody stumped me. I think we do, yeah. I think I would say yes, we do. I do remember actually we made an announcement. We have Visio content and projects. I think we're working on fresh projects content, if I'm not mistaken, but I do believe it's in. If it's not there, it's on our roadmap.
It's constantly evolving, isn't it?
Yeah, always.
Okay, another question here. Are any of the courses actual accreditations?
So the badges that we provide are, you know, a sort of symbolic accreditation. Now, the fact that we are so well respected by Microsoft is very helpful because they kind of bless the training that we provide and the learning paths, but it doesn't actually materialize into a hard certificate or a virtual one. I mean, that's an area that we're working on as we kind of progress, but you know, it's a recognized badge, if you will, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's an accreditation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. So I think from the looks of things, that's all the questions that we've got today. So thank you so much everyone for joining, taking the time out of your busy days to join the webinar today. Thank you so much Rowan and Seb as well for joining us and presenting the webinar today. As mentioned, I will be sending you all a link to the recording probably this afternoon or tomorrow. And we do have a feedback form at the end, so if you'd like any further information or if you'd like to request a call back with one of our specialists, please do pop that in there, and we will be in touch. I think we might have just had a question come through.
Did we have some questions to send out everyone as well, Amy, or did I make that up?
What's that, sorry?
Did we have a list of questions to send people?
Yes, they're part of the feedback form that pops up at the end for everyone. Okay, so everyone, yes, so thanks again for joining us. Yeah, as mentioned, there's a feedback form and I'll send you all a link to the recording. So enjoy the rest of your day and thanks for joining again. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.